This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3, and I am so excited to finally try out a folding smartphone. So I grew up in the era where before we had smartphones, there were flip phones, and flip phones were the most popular thing. So I've kind of experienced both ends of the phone spectrum, where you had these really thin, really cool flippable phones that were very nice, and then from there moved on into smartphones and, you know, just the bar style smartphones that we have now. And it's been a really cool experience just to see how phones have evolved over the last couple of years. But folding phones have definitely been the most, I want to say, at least controversial one for me, because I really just didn't understand them, and I still don't. But the thing is, now I can't keep bashing on them or keep saying I don't understand them without trying them. And that's where the Z Flip 3 comes in, because this is priced at $1,000, and $1,000 is something I'm willing to pay to try this out. So what I did was I got the Z Flip 3 5G in black, and I'm finally going to be trying out a folding smartphone. So let's go ahead, lift up the box, and see what we get in it. And by the way, this is a very thin, very small Samsung box. No charger, no nothing, just the phone, cable, and we'll see what else comes in here. But the phone is the main part, so let's go ahead and see what it's like. And I'm so excited to look at my first folding phone. So let's see. Ooh, nice. So this is definitely way wider than I assumed. I really thought it would be way thinner. But damn, it feels, at least while it's open, it feels like a very, very normal phone. Just, it doesn't look any different, at least right now from looking at it. It doesn't look like there's anything very different about it just from the front. I mean, here's my iPhone 12 Pro, and you guys can see it looks very similar, you know. It's definitely thinner, but it's not that different. But I'll come back to it in a second. Let's see what else we get in the box. Very reminiscent of the S21 unboxing. But there's nothing at the bottom. So there's a SIM card eject tool here, and I'm going to guess that the cable is tucked in here as well. And yeah, that's about it. A USB-C to C cable and a few paperwork guides, Z Premiere, and quick start guide, and that's it. Really just very, very minimal packaging here. Given how, you know, unique this phone is, I was expecting more. But, you know, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and unwrap the phone and see exactly what the finish is like. There we go. Okay, so right off the bat, I can very clearly tell the crease, and it's a brand new phone, so it's a little bit weird just to see that, but it is kind of nice to hold the phone in my hand. It is definitely not as, I was very worried it was going to be a very thin phone and it wouldn't be easy to type, but this is not bad at all. I'm actually liking it. When it's open, it's not small. I always assumed it would be really small for some reason, but it is not. So on the side, we have the power button, and the power button has the fingerprint scanner built in. It has the volume rocker right up here, and on this side, there's the SIM card eject tool, and right here, there's a little cutout, which I'm assuming is probably for an antenna or something. It doesn't seem like it serves any purpose. So there is a screen right back here as well. So let's go ahead, turn on the phone, and see what it's like. I'm so excited to finally have a folding phone. And it does look like there's a screen protector on it, but I'm not going to be messing with it because I know people have messed with screen protectors on these in the past and had problems, but I want a screen protector anyways to keep the screen as safe as possible. So we're going to leave it as is. Samsung Galaxy. The problem with the screen right here is that when light is catching it, especially my studio lights, the crease definitely seems way worse. So there you guys can see, like, when the lights catch it, it's way more apparent. Whereas in certain angles, when I'm looking at it sideways, it's absolutely, like, I can't even tell that there's a crease. But looking at it from different angles, it's way more apparent. So I can see how people would kind of learn to ignore it. So let me go ahead, before I set it up, just try out the folding mechanism. And so it doesn't have as satisfying of a fold as some of the old Moto razors of back in the day, but it does fold, which is cool. It's a very soft, gentle fold too. I'm sure I could smack it just to see what it's like. It doesn't really, it's not made for smacking it shut though, which is weird, but it doesn't have a satisfying magnetic close, but that's not honestly what I should have expected in the first place, because it doesn't fold flat. I knew that, but you know, the marketing materials definitely make it look like it folds a lot flatter than it does in person. As you guys clearly can see, there's still that very identifiable kind of arching out of the screen's halves. But this is the black one. This is 256 gigs. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to set it up, mess around with the phone, and come back and give you guys my initial impressions on the Galaxy Z Flip 3. All right, so I just spent the last 30-40 minutes playing around with the Galaxy Z Flip, and I have some thoughts. So right off the bat, I want to say that the hinge is definitely not as flip phone-like as I was expecting. So I was expecting being able to easily close it one-handed, or just to kind of easily open it one-handed, but that's not really the case unless you want to really get your nails under there and risk scratching the screen. So you always want to kind of use two hands if you're going to be doing it without hurting the screen, which sucks, but I mean, I get it, right? But another thing I'm not a fan of is just, it's not a very satisfying, like there's no click or there's no magnetic like pulse or something like that. Just, it doesn't have a satisfying feeling on either end. But you know, I don't know, I just expected that for some reason. Beyond that, let's start from the front. So when the phone is closed, you do have this cover screen. Now this cover screen is nice, but it also is, you know, not that vast in what it can do. So right now I haven't really gotten a chance to mess around with it, set it up and see what it does, but I will be covering this more in my full review. But initial impressions are, it seems to be decent enough for basic controls, and just quickly glancing at what kind of notification it is, beyond that it really doesn't seem helpful. But I am, compared to the previous generations, it does have a much bigger screen, so that's definitely helpful. It just, as you see, it does take time to load up sometimes, or it's not the fastest thing in the world. But I do like the design. When the phone is open, you know, it looks very normal. It does. You know, you can't really tell something's very different about this phone until you have it flipped and closed like this, and then you're like, oh, this isn't a normal phone. Otherwise, when it's open, it feels just like a normal phone. And that's another point where once the phone is open and you're using it, it feels like a normal phone. So then it starts to feel a little bit annoying as to, like, you've paid $1,000, but are you getting $1,000 worth of phone out of this? Because all you're really getting right now is this flipping gimmick, which I'll be honest, initial impressions are it's still a gimmick. I cannot find a reasoning for it or how it's useful just yet, because I had this phone open most of the time while I was using it because I was using the phone. So throughout that period, I couldn't really tell, you know, how this is different from my S21 in any way. Now, I will say this, it is cool to have a piece of tech like this. There is that cool factor, but what happens when it wears off, right? Eventually it's going to wear off, and after that, would you have been better off spending your money on an S21, which is way more, you know, that form factor is just way more time tested, and not to mention way more durable than this is. We'll see. So I do want to mention that there was no warning, as I said, or anything when I unboxed the phone, but when I was setting it up, I'll put it up on the screen here. There was a warning that came up on the screen, you know, don't use fingernails, the phone is IPX8 rated, stuff like that. But you know, there was a little bit of a rundown of to what to do and not to do. But it was kind of, you know, just take care of your phone, basically. Not anything too complex. Just don't use it in dusty environments, stuff like that. The crease. So I will tell you this. The crease, I did notice that I didn't run over my fingers with it for a while. I realized that when you scroll, you just scroll from the bottom. So when you're scrolling, you usually don't get to the halfway point of the screen. Very rarely are you scrolling in the middle of the screen where you feel it. And then when you feel it, you definitely feel it. It's not something that's easy to escape, but, you know, it's there. So the phone itself, it does feel quite normal until it doesn't feel normal, if that makes sense. The one thing I also noticed is this phone is definitely not built for media consumption. It just is not. Let me just load up a video here and show you guys exactly what I mean. So I'll just load up this music video. I hope I don't get copyrighted. You know what? Just to be sure, I will not play a copyrighted video or a video that is from a big studio, just because those tend to be a little bit more copyrighty. But let me go ahead and play this video and look at how much screen is being wasted on both ends. It's because of the aspect ratio. So either you live with extremely large bezels on either side, or you zoom in and you lose like, I want to say 30% of the image on the top and bottom, which sucks. It really, I wish it wasn't the case, but the media entertainment part of this is definitely not a good one. It's fine, but if you're going to be using it to watch a lot of YouTube videos, I wouldn't really be happy about the fact that I either have to live with huge black bezels or I have to lose out on a big chunk of my content. Neither of those options sounds like a good idea to me. Beyond that, this phone seems pretty decent. The cameras are nothing crazy, but they seem to get the job done. So it's something that I'm going to have to test more in depth. There's no crazy camera features, no real crazy features on this phone besides the fact that it folds. That's why I've spent so much time talking about the folding part of it. But it does seem to be it's just one of those things where I still can't see the benefit of it. But I'm glad I have it anyways, because now it gives me the opportunity to thoroughly test one instead of just, use it for a couple of minutes and then be like, oh yeah, it doesn't seem like it's any different. It's the same thing that happened with the Google Pixel. If you guys have been watching the channel long enough, I didn't like the Google Pixel, and I constantly shit on it. I was constantly making fun of it until I got one. And then I still made fun of it, and I still hated it, but I understood the phone, and I've basically bought every Pixel ever since. So the Google Pixel phone, it was, what that experience did was it taught me that you need to try out things before you can say something about them, because it really gives a perspective. And you guys can see when it's folded, the display really doesn't pop out too much, which is good. That means less of a chance for dust and debris to get in, and it's fine. This is not bad in any way, and for $1,000, a way better price point as well if you want to try out this new type of tech. But right now, my initial impressions are, I don't see how it's any different from a phone, and right off the bat, if somebody asked me if I should buy it, I'd probably say, hold off. This doesn't seem like something that's justifiable enough for the cost, because for $1,000, you can get a lot better, including the Galaxy S21 Ultra, which is on sale for $1,000 on Amazon right now. So $1,000 for this or an S21 Ultra, almost a no-brainer sometimes. So that's it for this one, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about the Z Flip 3, because I know there's going to be a lot of them, and I am very excited to make a follow-up video on this after a week or so after I've used it and gotten to know it a little bit better. So feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on social media. I'll have all the handles right here on the screen, and of course, linked down in the description below. If you want to check out this phone or anything else that I use to film, I'll have links to those as well down in the description. Be sure to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.